Hello again, welcome back to the 120th. We're trying some different stuff today. We're throwing some light in the background, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm not here to talk about the blue in the background. I'm here to talk about the Rolleicord 3. I've got the Yashica 635 out just as a bit of a comparison. Rolleicord's a little bit smaller. This Rolleicord Yashica 635. Both very similar though. Both f3.5 lenses. The Yashica is an 80mm. The Rolleicord is a 75mm. If you look at them, they've got kind of the same knobs on all sides. Waist level finders open in very similar ways. There really are a lot of similarities between these two cameras. That was the only reason I've got the two of them out. We'll put the Yashica 635 away and talk about the Rolleicord 3. Now, TLR as before, so twin lens reflex, viewing lens, taking lens, viewing lens comes through and out the top to the waist level finder, taking lens goes through to the back to the 120 film, and so exactly the same as 635. It shoots 12 frames of 6x6 on a 120 film. It was produced from 1950 until 1953 apparently, and about 87,000 of them were made. The progression for the Rolleicord 3 over the Rolleicord 2 was the removal of the red window from the back, apparently. And the introduction of, I haven't actually seen this, so let's do it together. The introduction apparently of a red mark inside. Hang on. It's a little tricky to get open this, I don't know why. Ah, there we go. This, where is it? You can see it on there, this red dot here, which essentially tells you where to line up the start of the film, which means it can then measure your rolling of the film. And that will therefore mean it has clicks as well, although I haven't tried it yet, but it will click every time you reach a new frame, which then removes the need to have a red window in the back. And indeed it doesn't, no window. I think I got a bargain with this on eBay, but I have thought that about cameras before, and then discovered that I really didn't get a bargain. So I am reserving judgment. Rolleicord, as you see here, are made by the same people as Rolleiflex. Rolleiflex are the slightly more famous ones and definitely the more expensive ones to get hold of these days. Rolleicord were supposedly the kind of cheap man's version. Rolleiflexes will often have a crank handle on the side. This doesn't, it has a winding knob, very similar to the Yashica 635. An interesting difference that I've just noticed between when I was just holding them both out. So we've got exactly the same concept. The taking lens and the viewing lens and the taking lens extend out on the same plane in tandem to give you so that the viewing lens gives you an idea of what the taking lens is seeing. That's the purpose of it. What's really interesting though is that once that is fully extended, it becomes very front heavy. And I just nearly knocked it over a minute ago, so good to know. Everything, all controls on the in the shutter mechanism as with other TLRs. This handle here does shutter speed. On this side we have your aperture, and again this shows through a little window at the top here. Shutter speed shows through a window here. There's your shutter speed. And then on the other side, we have exactly the same sort of window. This one shows your aperture, f4, and a widest of f3.5. Elsewhere on the shutter mechanism, down here we have the shutter cocking and firing. Now on this one, it's the same handle that does both. There's no kind of shutter button like on the Yashica 635. Push it all the way one way to cock. It should spring back, but it's a bit stiff. And then we're going to push it in the other direction to fire. So there we go. That is on bulb. So So it's gonna, that works. And that's it really. You've got on this side, we have film advance knob, focusing knob. It does have a load of instructions in German, which 500, I think it looks like they're suggestions for what settings to use and when. 9 till 3 in May, June, July, August, use certain settings. It's all in German though, I don't really know what it means. Flash sync port down here. Shutter release cable there. And that's it really, nothing else to it. Apparently, so according to the original eBay listing, this has had a screen upgrade. You see that. So in theory, this screen should be a bit brighter. So Rolleicord 3 from early 1950s, somewhere between 1950 and 1953. So I'm going to load it up with the usual, my stalwart testing film, which is the FP4 Plus. Let's grab a roll of that. I have a never-ending supply of Ilford FP4 Plus because I love it, and I know what it's supposed to look like, and I know what it looks like coming out of my other cameras, and so it is a good test roll for me. And it's not too expensive. I mean, there are cheaper films out there, and if, as you'll have seen in other videos, if I have doubts as to whether a camera is going to work or not, I won't stick FP4 in it. I'll stick a Fomapan or something cheap, or a Kentmere. But FP4 in this one, I have every reason to believe it will work. All seems to function fine. So first thing I'm going to do is take up spool out and put it in here. Oh, that's not the easiest to do, is it? Right. Okay, so it's in. When that lines up with the red dots, as it does now, we're going to close the back. Click, close the top, this one like that, and push that back across. And that is now sealed and ready to roll. We're then going to do exactly the same as we did with the Yashica 635. We're going to look at the window here, and we're going to start winding. Oh, no arrow on this one, but there's a little bit of tension just went past. That'll be as the film starts to join us, and a click as we arrive at number 1. Not quite. The number 1 is not quite centered in the window. So there we go. We're loaded up. Let's take this out for a spin and see what we get from it. So this is a Rolleicord 3 TLR with Ilford FP4 Plus in it. 125. Let's go. You coming? Come on in. Right then, I'm out to shoot with this Rolleicord 3, and I have found this crazy church just on a hill, so it's very windy, so I'm hoping you're going to be able to hear me, but look at this. How cool is that? And there's wild views out over the Severn as well. Over there. This is beautiful. If I can't find some good shots to take here, then what kind of photographer am I? I'm going to start with this one, shooting up towards the church here. Looks awesome. Spot metered. 6.3. So let's move you over to here. One thing I noticed straight away though is that this is much lighter, and I would say feels less substantial than the Yashica 635, but it's certainly, I don't know, it's less balanced, the actual weight of the camera itself. So as I mentioned before, it sort of tips forward, so all the weight feels like it's at the front, and it feels a little bit unstable for that. It hasn't fully wound onto frame 2, so I don't know what that means. Let's do a little shot of this this path. Cock, and now push, Oh, I see, you just push it in. Yeah, so the 2 and the 3 don't fully come up in the window. Be interesting to see whether I've got a double exposure somewhere there. Let's go and do a big landscape. This is what we're shooting. Pretty spectacular view. Then, get this. Oh, it's nice. It's really nice. Come this way a little bit actually, so we can get a bit of a headstone in the foreground. Hey, stop it. Infinity focus. Oh, let's carry on wandering around. It's pretty windy. Let's go do some shots of the church itself. Something here. I don't think it's disrespectful to photograph in a graveyard, is it? There's some stunning graves and stones here. Oh. I think I could spend quite a bit of time here. It's just beautiful. And what a place to be buried, eh? Amazing view. It's just stunning. And obviously in that direction we've got a nuclear power station, but you know, you can't have everything. And this view of the church itself is amazing. Obviously the lens on this camera and the camera I'm recording on is a lot wider than this. Let's see if we can get a shot of this. That shutter on this is a bit sticky, so you have to pull it across, and then it doesn't make its own way back. You have to push it down, and if you just over push it a fraction, it sets the shutter off. And that is a full roll through the Rolleicord 3, and what a stunning location for it. Good find. Let's take that home. I've got some other films to process tonight, so we'll throw that into the mix and see what the results are like. Right then, I'm back. I processed the film. You saw the photos as we went through that the shoot there. It's interesting. So some of the photos were good. Some showed a lot of kind of hazing around the bright lights. Now, I gave it a clean, but I don't remember if I opened the back and looked through the lens on a bulb setting, you know. So let's do that now. I'm now going to cock and then fire, which will open the lens up, and let's see what we got. It is quite scratched, you know. Which would account for at least some of that hazing. I mean, I looked at it. They don't look like light leaks. I'll show you again. But let's get this lined up for you to have a look. See how easily you can see through there. Oh, you can maybe get a bit of that. See if we can put against a darker surface. Either way, you might have to take my word for it here. Oh, you might have to take my word for it a little bit. There are quite a lot of fine scratches on the lens. Does it account for all of that? I'm not sure. The worst offenders were that shot up the path of the tree, and all the shots that I was taking looking up at the church, so you're getting this kind of milky loss of contrast and slightly lighter patches around areas where there should be kind of pin sharp patches of light. So it's kind of a hazy type effect, which when I first saw it I thought maybe I didn't clean the lens properly. But there we go. So other than that, on the shots where I was not shooting towards, and bear in mind as well, that's the other thing, is that it wasn't particularly bright sunlight that day. You know, the sun was poking out through the clouds, but it's worse than I would have expected. So I might have to take a magnifying glass and have a closer look at that lens and see exactly what's wrong with it. I mean, you know, if there are deep scratches on the lens, then I don't know what there is to be done about that. I'll look into it anyway. We'll see what we can do. Other than that, so I thought that some of the photos were okay. You know, I'm not blown away by it. I know this is in theory, it's not a Rolleiflex, it's a Rolleicord, and so it's perhaps not supposed to be quite as exciting as the Rolleiflex, and the images aren't expected to be quite as amazing. But I still expected a little bit more from it. My problem is I've got the Yashica 635, which, as we talked about at the beginning, is essentially the same camera. All the knobs and whatnot in the same places. Very similar lenses, but the Yashica is a little bit heavier. That whole this thing, this single lever for cock and then fire, detracts from the enjoyment for me, because it's a little bit clumsy, a little bit cumbersome. It's easy to miss. It's easy to make a mistake. The Yashica has, you know, a separate. You cock it with one arm and then you push the shutter button, which I prefer. So if I didn't have a Yashica 635 and I just picked this up for the money which I paid for it, which was about £80, 80 British pounds. Was it 60 British pounds? Don't know. Anyway, around kind of $100 roughly. It's fine. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just fine. I think that those scratches on that taking lens are causing it some problems. So I'm going to take a bit of time. I will dismantle that lens at some stage and take it out and try and clean it up as best as possible, and then give it another spin and see how we get on. But overall, like I say, if that was your first TLR, you'd be pretty happy with it. Some limitations, but the camera is from 1953. Yeah, it's the best part of, if not pushing 70 years old. That's a 70-year-old camera. If the worst thing that it can offer you is a few scratches on the lens and some slightly milky shots here and there, then that's not a disaster. Good on you for toughing it out for 70 years. And we'll try and give it a polish, and you never know, it might be turning out cracking photos. So Rolleicord, I will probably at some stage, when I've saved up some money, get hold of a Rolleiflex and try out one of those. In the meantime, I would say that Rolleicord 3, good camera. Problems with this one, but overall, you know, a lot of the rest of the things work absolutely fine. As for a 70-year-old camera, she's doing okay. All right, thanks for watching. See you for the next one.